Well, let's stay with the vaccine rollout plans. There's an interesting article in the Daily Maverick by Ferial Haffajee. Now, she writes about the lobbying that is currently underway by the ANC's business arm, the Progressive Business Forum, to get a share for its members of the vaccine rollout pie. Ferial is the Daily Maverick's associate editor and joins me now. Ferial, hi, always great to chat to you. So you explain, and this is interesting because, of course, we're still reeling from what the SIU has told us this Friday about the extent of likely corruption regarding the procurement of protective equipment for COVID-19. What you explain so well in your article is that the vaccines have been bought through medical schemes, through private funding, through debt. So that's not where the money is to be made. Here in South Africa, it is in the rollout process, and they are lobbying hard, business people, to get a piece of the pie. That in itself surely is not a bad thing. Where are the red flags, if any, at this stage for you?
I thought of it as a canary in a coal mine story, and I'll tell you why, Sally. Everywhere around the world where I've been reading, the urgency of the vaccines that we need now, and the urgency in a country like ours where there simply isn't enough money to buy them, means that it's being regarded as an all-in moment. I saw a Guardian writer calling it a Dunkirk moment of volunteerism, of people coming forward, of solidarity, of giving to each other. So, for example, medical aid reserves are going to be used to double up. So if my medical aid pays for me, it's going to pay for one other person as well, and that's you too. So that should take care of 30 million doses. The other part being funded by the Solidarity Fund. And the third is likely going to involve our government going into some debt because so much money, let's be frank, has been looted. So I thought that that's the spirit that this moment would be approached with, and it wouldn't be seen as another PPE moment of a time to make big money out of this. And that's, I guess, why I wrote the article.
All right. So then, and I'm going to quote you here, you write, the first 1 million vaccines were procured on a closed tender by BioVac. 4 companies will distribute the first tranche of vaccines in a closed bid: BioVac, Imperial Health Services, DSV and United Pharmaceutical Distributors. The contracts are not run on open government principles, which would mean the public could scrutinise them. Is that a problem?
I do think it is. Our government's a signatory, as I found out last week, to open government principles, where you should have maximum transparency in how the government procures. But what we've now seen instead is that those are subject to non-disclosure agreements. So we actually, if it wasn't for good civil society, we wouldn't know, for example, that we paid so much more than the EU or the AU for the first 1 million vaccines, which, thank God, arrived on Monday this week. I think what we're looking for is maximum transparency and also vigilance at the start of our vaccine drive, so that we don't end up one day on your show saying we've paid maybe 100 Rand per swab or 20 times more than you usually would for a needle. And that's why I think vigilance is required now, but also an ethos of volunteerism, and understanding that really there is no room in our kitty for the maximalist price setting that we saw when the PPE was bought from about April last year.
Yeah, and you write that the ANC's business wing, the Progressive Business Forum, is pushing for its members who help fund the party to secure a cut of the contracts. That's not been a secret, though. You explain how it's been quite open that they want black business on board. So where are the areas of concern? Is it that it's not as philanthropic as you were hoping?
So the PBF, the Progressive Business Forum, is a part of the ANC's fundraising arm. Basically, you pay a membership fee, and then you get access to ministers. You can give your contribution to policy making. It's a kind of lobby, and we always see it in action. Absolutely nothing illegal about it. But I guess, and many people will say, there's no problem with making a buck along the vaccine cold chains, distribution lines, logistics and support. But I'd argue that actually there is a problem with the kind of wild profiteering and price setting that we saw during PPE, and that we as a country have to be very, very vigilant to ensure that this isn't going to happen this time. Not only because the coffers are pretty bare, Sally, and you saw that government needed help from the Solidarity Fund to pay for the first deposit for another lot of vaccines we're buying from COVAX. In that context, I'd argue that it shouldn't be an opportunity for business making, for big profiteering, but that it should be something we do for a public good. Maybe I'm a little bit naive, but I do think caution's required this time around.
Indeed it is, particularly when we see what's coming out of the SIU probe into the PPE tenders. And thank you so very much, Ferial Haffajee, for giving us an insight into how that rollout process is taking place. And do keep on that, and we'll be watching your reporting. Thank you very much, Ferial Haffajee, Daily Maverick's Associate Editor.